Welcome back, my cattywampus cucumbers. Yeah, I know that one's actually from the show. I should have thought of an original one, but I don't know. I like that one a lot. I'm going to talk about spoiler free The Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act. So, I haven't really talked a ton about the show before. If you watched at the time that this comes out, most recent main channel video, which was about what I called villains of obligation, I did talk a bit about Kane, the ostensible villain of this series. And that was obviously the hint that I've been watching it, but I haven't really talked about it up until this point, not explicitly. But I have been watching The Amazing Digital Circus. I do plan to do like a full main channel video on it. But one of the things about going to see the theatrical release for this final episode, which is what I did, I went and saw it with my kiddo, and it opens with a message asking, like, it's not legally binding, but asking that people who see it not spoil it until it becomes available to everyone on YouTube on the 19th of this month. And while plenty of people have already decided to be jerks about that because the thing leaked, but I intend to honor that because I can see that a ton of work went into this. The people who made it really care. And also, the creator, Gooseworks, has been through enough crap. I think the very least I can do is honor that request. So, we are going to talk spoiler-free, which means I am going to be kind of vague. I still do have stuff that I can talk about, though, even while avoiding pretty much all plot specifics. So, the first thing that's probably worth addressing is tone. The Amazing Digital Circus can be very funny, usually in a very kind of wacky sort of sense. Like even the previous episode to this, episode 8, while it got very dark at points and kind of harrowing in moments, it still had some very distinctly funny moments. This one, not so much. I'm not going to say it's devoid of jokes. Like there's a couple, but the tone is somber. That is the overall tone of pretty much the entire thing. So by this point, the vestiges of comedy, especially the wackier tone that the comedy tended to take, are almost entirely gone. This is a serious examination of the characters, the situation they are in, and how they got there, with a focus on some specific characters. I don't think, given both things Gooseworks has said and also the poster, I don't think it counts as a spoiler to say there is a very heavy emphasis on Jax. And I do think, given what is learned about Jax, what is revealed about Jax, what is explored about Jax, I do think that is warranted. I know that because this fan base is so super normal and chilled out, there are people who are actively angry at the fact that it focuses on Jax because they have another favorite character. And like that, you're allowed to favorite whatever character you want, but like if you need your favorite character to be the main character because that means you win somehow, then like I'm gonna have to talk at least a little bit about this fan base when I talk about the whole thing in like a full video, because it's not okay. But regardless, there is a very heavy focus on Jax, not an exclusive focus. We get to see more of other characters, and it is just trying to wrap stuff up. Now, while I think its main focus is emotional, that's not to say that there aren't some answers. There's always kind of been a lot of open-ended questions about a fair amount of this show. And to my tastes, I think it answers the most pertinent ones that I think it would have been really kind of a big hole to not address. But it does not answer everything. So if you're also real big into theory crafting and like confirming, I was 100% right about this little granular detail, you're probably going to be at least a little frustrated because, again, while there are answers here to, again, what I think are the most pertinent overriding questions of the show as a whole, there are probably going to be viewers out there who want more answers than that. I think what I want to emphasize more than anything is that even having seen the trailer, even having read some of the things that Goosework has said leading into it, I don't think I predicted a single plot point or turn of the story in this. And I don't mean that in a like, oh, it's so twisty. Like none of it's played as a twist. It's just a story that plays out. I mean that in a way that the creative choices here are really fascinating and feel very specific to the people behind it. It feels like something that I couldn't have predicted, not because it was trying to get ahead of me or trying to be twisty, but simply because it was made by people with perspective and artistic instincts that are not something I'm used to seeing. And it's really refreshing for that, to be honest. Even like some of the things that happened that I could go, okay, yeah, I could have guessed that would have happened. And they still happen in a way that feels like, okay, I wouldn't have done it like that. Parentheses, praising. Because I know it's very common, especially on a place like YouTube, when somebody says, I wouldn't have done it like that, it's automatically seen as derogatory. And I don't mean it that way at all. I think coming out of this, I'm like, I wouldn't have made most of those choices, and I'm really glad that they made most of those choices. It's just a very confident and assured of itself approach to a story and a situation and characters that just looks at it not in a completely different way than I would, but like just at a slight angle from how I would, which just makes the presentation just feel more unique and more specific to these people. Like none of these feel like generic choices. None of these feel like, well, that's the obvious choice of what to do. Even the couple of things that I called about it, like are still presented in a way that's like, okay, that's still an interesting and not fully, but like pretty unique way to go about doing that, even though it was a thing I thought you might do. There is so much care that went into this. You really, really feel it. And I don't really have much in the way of criticism. Like I have like one tiny note that doesn't really matter, just would have been a personal thing that I would have liked to have seen, and I think they could have done very easily, that they didn't. There's one moment, and obviously I can't be specific about this, but if you've seen it, you might know what I'm talking about. There's one moment where something happens, and it really confused me and threw me off, because it's actually something that happens pretty briefly, and I completely misinterpreted what it was that had happened. So I was confused by this one singular thing, because it happens, and then and if it had been what I thought it was, it's like really weird that doesn't come up again, because that feels like that should have implications. But I just flatly misinterpreted what it was that had happened. Now, I'm a little torn on whether or not to actually consider that much of a criticism. Here's why. I did get it sorted by like going to, some fandom spaces with people who had seen it, because some other people were asking the same question, like, wait a minute, what happened with this? And when it was explained by other people, not only did I go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I also, like, they pointed out some, and then I thought about it and realized all of the things that were in place to point me towards the correct interpretation, but I still kind of had the wrong interpretation. So I'm really torn on this, because on the one hand, if a non-trivial percentage of your audience is coming away with the wrong conclusion from a moment or a particular event in your work, there maybe should be something that you should do to make it more clear. Except that when I actually think about all the things that were there to try and make it clear, I feel a little foolish. But at the same time, like, it is kind of interpretable. It's one of those things where, like, I don't want to chide something for respecting its audience enough to get what it's doing. But at the same time, I didn't get what it was doing on first viewing. So I guess whether or not I consider that a criticism would completely depend on the percentages. Like, I don't know what percentage of audiences were confused the way I was. I know I'm not the only one, because there were some other people asking the same question, but there also seemed to be a decent number of people who also got it. So like, if I'm in like only 10% of the audience group, then you know what? then you did it fine. If I'm in something more like a 40% of the audience group, then maybe it needed tweaking. But since I don't know that either way, I'm just going to kind of point it out in the vague terms that I have to use, and then move forward. If you see this either in the theater, because I think it's on today as well, in the select theaters it's playing at, or when you get around to it when it gets released, be sure you stay through the credits. Like it's not even just like, oh, a bonus scene at the end, but like just the visuals that show during the credits, like you don't want to miss them. Easily the best gag in the whole thing happens there. So I think for the way the show has been trending and for the way the tone has been shifting from its first episode through its 8th and now this final 9th episode, I think this is a very satisfying finish. And I don't want to say, specifics about, oh, it's a happy ending, it's a bummer of an ending. I feel like that veers a little bit too close to spoilers. Here's what I will say. I was very satisfied with the ending that it gave. And it just kind of left me with this very pleasant feeling of, oh, well, that's all right then. That's all right as a place to end, as a place to put your final mark on your work and go, and we're done. Because I think this is done. I think this has done everything it intended to do. And I think at the end of the day, all of it done and now concluded, I think this show did it very well. I think this finale did it very well. Again, whether or not it works for you might depend on what you like about The Amazing Digital Circus. If you like the wackier humor stuff, almost none of it's here. Like, if this is going to work for you at all, you need to have gotten hooked into the characters and some of the heavier aspects that have kind of been at the periphery of some of this. If you're here for that, I think there's a very good chance you will like this as much as I did. Because I liked it walking out of the theater, and the more I've thought about it since seeing it, the more I like it. And I'm going to be real excited to see it again when it is on YouTube. The Amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living. Oh, and for the record, my kiddo really liked this too. I think actually my kiddo liked this even more than I did. I liked it a lot. So yeah. But, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff helps out. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lutfula, Auntie Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Snark Shark, Oliver B, Mystic Shadow, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Becky Sparks, Twylord, Tracy Scrabbit, Paul Barabajoggle, Magdalena, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. Additionally, to thank some folks from the lower tiers of support: Lee and Andy, Gavin Hinden, and I Am Orcus. We have some new friends. We have Peppercorn and where'd the other one go? Where'd you go? Coriander has gone behind my head. They are very young and they haven't been integrated with the other rats yet, but soon. Okay, yes. Maybe you weren't quite camera ready.